Today I want to talk with you a little bit about judging people and why you're doing it wrong. Now, I learned something interesting lately about judgment that I thought might be helpful to share with you guys, because it definitely really gave me a new perspective on how people make incorrect assumptions about the interactions that they have with others. The two things we're going to talk about today is how we judge others and then also how we judge ourselves. So as we move through these areas, you'll really start to see how tricky your mind is and how it can create difficult situations for you if you're really not careful. Now, before we dive in, it's good to remember that human beings are complex individuals and we all operate with different motivations in mind. So that's why it's important to examine your own assumptions and be mindful of the lens through which you see the world. Now, this video is going to be helpful for you if you are someone whose feelings get hurt easily by other people's reactions to you, or if you're the kind of person that tends to have really strong reactions to particular situations or people that you encounter. So let's start things off by talking about how we judge others. So as humans, we tend to judge people based on what our own intentions were in a particular situation, not by how other people react to us. So let me give you two examples of what this looks like so you have an idea of what I'm talking about. Now, let's say I forgot to attend my friend Sarah's birthday party, and as a result, she stopped talking to me. Now, I might be inclined to judge her for being petty and unreasonable because I totally didn't mean to forget the party. However, Sarah is clearly hurt and disappointed by my not showing up. So instead of considering her point of view in the situation, what I'm doing is I'm just unreasonably focused on judging her for not understanding that I didn't do that on purpose. Okay, so that's one example. So as another one, let's just say I accidentally spill coffee on another person's shirt, which I'm a little klutzy, so that's definitely feasible. Now, I might judge the other person for getting upset and maybe yelling or overreacting because my intention in the first place was not to spill the coffee on them. However, on the other hand, the person whose shirt was stained or got the hot coffee on them might feel justified in their reaction because they really weren't expecting to have that spilled all over them. So instead of thinking how rudely that person reacted to my mistake, it's really helpful if I can turn it around and see them for things from their perspective before I start judging them or judging how they're reacting to me. Now, both of these situations are great examples of how our mind tricks us when it comes to the way we judge or perceive others. Pretty interesting so far, right? All right, so the next thing we want to talk about is how we judge ourselves, and we do this all the time, right? So this concept is really interesting to me because it's slightly the opposite of the last one we just discussed. The way that we judge ourselves is based on other people's reactions to us, not by their intentions in the situation. So this is a big one because so many of us really, look outward for clues or validation or signs that we're doing the right things in certain situations. Or we look to others for confirmation that we're doing a good job, things like that. So in essence, we utilize other people's reactions to us as a way of helping us interpret how we appear to others as we move throughout the world. Now, let's talk about why this approach is wrong and how it can get us into a little bit of trouble if we're not careful. So like the other situation, I'm going to give you a couple examples of how you might be judging yourself incorrectly to give you a frame of reference for this concept. Now, let's say, for instance, you prepared a meal for your family that you are really proud of and you're proud of how it turned out. But when your family sits down to eat, nobody says anything about how delicious it is or how good it tastes or even thanked you for cooking the meal. Now, even though they may have just been tired or distracted by what's going on in their own day, what you're doing is you start to judge yourself and your cooking abilities based on their lack of reaction. So you start to think that you might not be a good enough cook or that they didn't enjoy the meal, even though their actual intention might have just been to kind of just relax, chill out, and just eat eat quietly without saying anything about the food. So, the truth is it's really hard to get inside somebody's mind and know what their true intentions are unless we specifically ask. And that happens in any situation. So what we do instead is we make something up in our head. And these stories that we create are not based on any kind of factual evidence, only what we think people think of us, which is unfortunate because we like to tell ourselves mean stories sometimes about who we are and what we're really capable of. Now, for our last example on how you might judge yourselves, Let's say you're in a job interview and you're really nervous, as most of us are. Now, you've prepared really well and you feel confident about your abilities, but during the interviewer seems kind of unimpressed and he doesn't really give you a lot of feedback on your answers. So in turn, what you start doing is you judge yourself based off of their reactions, and then you start to assume you're doing badly, even though this person's actual intention in this particular situation might just simply be to not show too much emotion or to remain really neutral so they don't influence your responses. But as a result, what's happening is you're just becoming really more and more disheartened and stressed as the interview goes on, and you really start to doubt your abilities, even though, you might have actually been doing really, really well in the interview. So I hope that you found this information as interesting as I did, and I hope that it's been helpful to you, and that you can maybe apply it to your life when you encounter difficult situations or you're starting to have like a challenging interaction with somebody else. Now remember, it's important to take a moment to reflect on things with curiosity and also compassion before you decide how you want to judge others or yourself, or how you even want to react to what's happening in front of you. Now, if you've enjoyed this video, please like it and subscribe to my channel for more like-minded content. Otherwise, until next time, thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope that you all have an absolutely beautiful day.